So we are focusing on the principles of financial freedom, and we're not done. It is a course that was developed by Reverends Lloyd Strom and Marcia Sutton I think back in the 90s. It was developed and has been taught. I've taught it several times. It's about an 8-week course filled with spiritual practices and spiritual truth. And they have a whole section on the purpose of money. And so our topic today is money, money, money. Did God make it? Well, we tend, right, as human beings to believe that God did not make money because humans made money. But if you created something and that something you created something, then by extension, you're doing it. And what we want to realize is that the divine is creating us and giving us the ideas that we need to enjoy this life. And the divine gave us this idea of money. Money is an idea. It's an idea in the mind of God for humanity to use to experience greater ease and circulating good. Because everything is in movement in the universe. I think a couple of talks ago, or maybe even last Sunday, we were talking about the continuous, unstoppable, no pausing movement of everything in the universe. And money is an idea of movement. Money is not really useful, not moving. Although there are those of us who like to sit on top of it, right? You know, I got lots of money. Well, it won't feed you. It won't do anything at all whatsoever if we don't use it. So the using of money is distribution, is circulation. It's how we participate in human experiences. It's an idea. It's an energy. Like all other forms of creation. And an energy must move. It's part of the qualities of energy is movement. So they also say that money has its rules. And one of the laws of money that they give in this course is that this is a world of money. Accept it. There are worlds without money, they write. This isn't one of them. Now, back when I was a teenager, my father once came into the house with this great idea. He found out that there were these islands in upstate New York. I think it's the Thousand Islands area, whatever. He discovered them, and he discovered that we could buy an island and live on it all by ourselves. And he thought this was a great idea. And I think he was a little surprised and maybe a little unnerved when the rest of us said, yes, let's move now. I was so excited about the possibility of living all alone on this island, and no one could get there. There was no roads there. You'd have to take a boat to come and go. And it just seemed like heaven. And I wanted to go there. Well, the idea never materialized. But then what we've got now on television are all these wonderful television shows where people are island hunting and lakefront bargains and House Hunters International. They're all going away. It's my fantasy, and maybe your fantasy, to get away from it all, to leave all this chaos and all these people and all this mess and just be all by yourself and just own yourself every day, or pick flowers or do whatever it is that one does on these island oases or something. And what is holding me back from doing it, you back from doing it? If this is your fantasy, the question is there. What is stopping you? And for me, I hear an answer, which is money. I don't have the money. How will you live? Where will you get the money? How will you support yourself? Da, 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 da. So let's get into the true purpose of money. Money's purpose is love. It was made to be a vehicle and a symbol of love circulating in our life. And for us, it says, they say, the purpose of money is love, and the purpose of love is relationship. And whenever love fails to draw us into relationships through mutual attraction, it uses our need for money to accomplish that same purpose. Let's hear a little bit more about that. While love can be tender and gentle, it can also be quite demanding when it uses money to insist that we remain in relationship with other human beings. There are many things we can accomplish without the assistance of others. Making and spending money are not among them. We need each other to conduct our financial affairs. And here's the kicker. Whenever love seems absent, money steps in to fulfill its purpose and keep us in relationship with others, especially those for whom we have very little love. The purpose of money is to keep us in relationship with people we don't love. The purpose of money is love. Love uses relationship to express itself, to circulate. And how does the law of circulation keep its doors and windows and portals open? Well, by using us and using us in relationship and giving us the position of being in the greatest flexibility, which means that we can be moved anywhere at any time and be with anyone at any time for the highest and greatest good of all. And we're the ones who don't want to move here or move there because of this one and that one. Our beloved people that we don't beloved. Is that a word, beloved? Okay, somebody Google it right now. Okay, so money, they go on to say, leads to heartbreak. Because whenever we do something just for the money, it will lead us into a place in our lives where healing needs to occur. It is money that takes us into the places in our lives where we need to learn to love. So how many of us have to work for a living, stay in a job that we hate because of the money? So we need the money, right? We get that. We can't get out of it, right? The law is, this is a world of money. So we must function with it. And wherever we hate, which is an energy, a negative use of love, it keeps us in a relationship where we have to learn to love, where the flow, the perfect circulation can flow again. I mean, we've got our human body, right? Our human body must circulate. There cannot be one spot in our body that is not in harmony, that is not moving, that is not circulating. If you do try to clog up any area of your body, and right, we humans, we've tried to clog up quite a bit of it, it doesn't work. Our whole body breaks down. Our body isn't able to use and be in a good vehicle for expressing this spirit of life that we are. And so love as circulation and as movement is and must be present in our human body, in our financial affairs, and in all our relationships. And so in oneness, in our being a part of humanity, we must be able to be circulating. And wherever we block that circulation of love in our experience in relationship with other people, wherever it is, it causes problems. Just like if we've got a blockage in our human body, it causes problems. It hurts. Now, in our physical body, if that blockage feels like pain, discomfort, it's a physical feeling. And in relationships, it's an emotional feeling. It's hatred, it's anger, it's a lack of peace. It's being up all night. It's saying that person's making me crazy. It's not that person that's making you crazy. It's the congested emotion or that refusal to love in you that's making you crazy. And the perfect circulation of love is I don't know if you're like me, but whenever I'm like mad at somebody, like I can't let it go. It'll keep going around and around and around and around in my mind, and I'm like, rah, 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 rah. And I'll try to work it out and work it over and over and over and over, and somehow fix it in some way where I can have peace. But usually what I try to do figuring out how they're wrong and I'm right. And that should be it. But I can't let that go. Even if I'm absolutely 100% convinced I am right and they are wrong. It doesn't go away because love is trying to circulate through it. And love keeps bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up because I have a clog there. That conviction, I'm right and they're wrong, is clogging. It's not fluid. It's not the highest and greatest good of all. It's not, oh, look at this, Regina. From Middle English, beloven, beloven, to love greatly, also to please, equivalent to be love. Compare to the Dutch, believen, to please, gratify. German, belieben, to like, wish, please. More at love. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for that. Beloved. So see that? Every language, they've got this idea. So money is not outside of love any more than it is outside of God. It's not even outside of our bodies. We are one universe, one substance expressing itself in infinite different ways, but every expression has to be in harmony with everything else. That's what I did that opening prayer about upon request, right? Everything has to be in harmony with everything else. And so the mechanics of the creation of money and its use in our world is something that cannot operate healthfully unless it is a part of the energy of the circulation of love. Money is here for love. And when we love, money follows. Another one of those laws. They say that there's always enough money to do good. And one of the most powerful spiritual truths that I like to stand upon when I contemplate my own financial freedom is this: spirit always supports its own expression. The divine made us. We are its expression, and the divine supports us. And therefore, we can be sure that it will abundantly support its highest expression through us. So in other words, the divine spirit supports its expression, and it will support and magnify the highest expression of the divine as us. So as we connect with the divine within us, which is love, and as we make that our intention and agree and allow ourselves to be supported, spirit supports us in this. That's unless you've got some belief that, oh no, which we have a lot of theatrical expressions in the world, or artistic expressions in the world. And I know that we have a lot of people here who are a part of it. There is a human belief that it's just too much good, that not only am I expressing at my highest expression of artistic ability, it would be too much good that God also supports me financially in this. So let me suffer. That goes back to our talk a few weeks ago about mental equivalent, right? We've got each got a certain mental equivalent of how much good we can stand. So what we want to realize is that we're always expanding our mental equivalent of how much good we can accept. And in doing that, we must expand our experience, our expression, and our willingness to be an avenue for love's givingness. And wherever we feel we cannot do something that we want to do in the world because we don't have the money, then I invite you to take a look. Where are you not loving? Where are you not loving? We've got our practitioner this Wednesday leading a workshop on Ho'oponopono, great forgiveness practice if you need to love, if you need to move this energy. So if the purpose of money is love, and when we love, money follows, and where we don't love, money stops. We also want to realize that money, or anything, any aspect of the divine, when given in greater abundance, magnifies who we are and what we believe. Money magnifies us, good and bad. So they write, it is often said that money changes us. It's usually made with the connotation that it always changes us for the worse. However, the truth is that it simply magnifies the best and the worst in us. Generally, the world seldom makes a fuss when we become more loving and generous. On the other hand, it is always quick to notice when we become more obnoxious, demanding, and controlling. In this sense, we could look to money as a tool for detecting our imperfections or our false beliefs. So if you, and the next time I talk on the principles of financial freedom, which will be in a couple of weeks, if you are having an experience of debt or just enough to get by, you've got your various assortment of beliefs that we all have in a human race, probably, right? But nobody complains about it because you can't do, you're in your little world and you're not really that noticeable. You're in debt, you're not circulating much money. But now you win the lottery. What we want to realize is that huge influx of money does not change that person who has a belief in debt. And that belief in debt is magnified. And it's not just a belief in financial debt, but it's a belief in lack and not enough. And so it will be magnified. And your behaviors that were common or usual in playing small don't fit in the larger life, in the bigger life, and they don't fit. So the answer for all of this for us is to realize that we are who we are in our beliefs, and nothing, not quote, the better job or the better person or the more money, is going to change what we believe in our heart and soul. That is something that only happens as we evolve in consciousness. And yet, as we evolve in consciousness, the improvement in our world, in the better job, in the better bunch of people we hang out with, and with the more freedom and ease and financial freedom in our lives, all of this is attracted to us because of who we are. And so money evolves us. In other words, if I could sit on that island and not be bothered by all those people, you people are all fine, but those people, you know who I mean, not bothered by them, why would I change? Why would I grow? Why would I become more? But in the involvement in the world with the issues and the problems and the stuff, we use it as a clue that, oh my gosh, I have a belief in lack. Oh my gosh, I have a belief that there's not enough. Or, oh my gosh, I have a belief that there's only so much good that I can experience. And so as an actress, I cannot be supported financially. But it's just a belief. And so by having these earthly or worldly or human problems, we have a magnifying glass or a clue as to what it is that we believe. And we also can have the experience of dealing with that belief, healing it through spiritual practice, and then discovering the problem melts away. It goes away. And I do have a personal example about this. Like everybody else, I was in the business world when I first got out of college, and I had a whole series of professional jobs. And I landed in one long enough to start being tortured by my boss. And, the acceptable explanation of this was she was crazy. But it didn't take her away. She was, determined, I guess, to fire me or something. I'm not really sure what I don't even think she had a plan. But given what she had done to other people who worked with her, that kind of was the path. And so I had to do a lot of inner work. And back then at this time, I was not in this teaching yet, but something in me knew, something in me said, this has to change. And I didn't know where I was going or what I was going to do, but I had to, I guess, in looking back, expand my mental equivalent of loving myself. Because what she was showing me how I really rejected and hated myself. And I was a big time self-condemning consciousness back then. And so I took a stand at the time and I, quote, quit my job, and something happened and I was transferred and things happened and my life improved. And in all of this, I realized something. It's like my soul or something got stronger or showed up finally, so that this part of me that had been self-rejecting and putting myself down, somehow I had let that light out from underneath the bushel when I said no more. And it strengthened. And as a result, I became a person of greater integrity than I had been when I had been in that earlier situation. I became a person of integrity. And all of that pushing from the external and having to stay there because of the money brought me naturally into a greater realization of something that is good in me. And again, I didn't have that concept of God at that time. So It's something natural that happens in us. And so when we start taking a look at our lives, at our world, at everything that's going on around us, with the eye of what is this indicating I might be believing? Or the good question, where in my world am I not free and loving? Where do I not love? Whenever you have a problem, when you take it within and say, oh, it's just a symbol, it's just a block, it's just a sign that somewhere the perfect circulation of love is not happening in me, and then ask that question, well, then where am I not loving? Boy, an answer will come at you right away. You're not, okay, so here's a clue. If you ask that question, I will let you know something here. You're not going to like the answer, right? Because you don't want to love where you don't love. So when you get told you got to love this one, you're like, no, I don't want to. Because. And your reasons for not loving them may be very valid. And they may be very good reasons for not being involved with them. But choosing to drive in a car with someone, you have freedom of choice, yes or no. And that choice, no or yes, won't open up or close down the flow of love in you necessarily. It's the energy in you about that choice that opens or closes the flow of love. And so if we realize that someone is intending to hurt or harm us, love includes loving yourself. And so it is that loving behavior to say, no, thank you for the ride. And yet to stay in the presence and circulation of love. And realize that you are loving. Not the behaviors of other people, but the essence of people. So we want to watch where we are stuck. They have some pertinent questions that you can contemplate here. Have you ever had difficulty with an on-the-job relationship? Did you feel trapped by that relationship? Did you ever feel trapped in a job, in a relationship? But you had to stay there because of the money? Then absolutely, we take that step of going, oh my gosh, I need to let love flow. And we engage in a spiritual practice. My favorite one is to praise and raise them, right? I praise you, boss. I raise you, boss, in the name of love. I don't say that to them. They do not see me do this. Do not let your unbeloved people in your world see you praising and raising them. No, they won't understand what you're doing. Okay, but it's just calling on grace or on that presence of love that's keeping you in that relationship to set you free so that you're at choice again. And you can say, thank you for all those wonderful suggestions you've made about how I can improve myself. And I am graciously declining following any of those suggestions. Goodbye. And you can feel that presence of love in you circulating. I praise you, I raise you, I praise you. You don't have to do this, but Marcia and Lloyd like to say, I praise you so-and-so, I raise you so-and-so in the name of love. Again, this posture of surrendering to love and raising yourself up to love and bringing love back up, back down into your heart. It's a circulating gesture and a little prayer. So at the end of my particular position where I had that boss who was torturing me and I got transferred, whatever. It was a bank that I was working with at the time. And I left it to become an actress. And for many years, I tooled around Manhattan being an actress, subject to the human race consciousness of, you know, if your life is so good, God's not going to support you, but that's okay. And as I got into this teaching over a number of years, I guess it would be at least 10 years after that whole incident with the bank, probably longer, but I was guided to go back into the business world. And everything in me said, but I hate it. I hate the 9 to 5. I hate the structure. I hate having to be there. I hate the offices. I hate the paper. I hate that whole world. But because I now knew this information about love, I declared I am going back there to love, to practice loving the job. Loving the job, loving the hours, loving the structure, loving the office, loving the desk, loving all the paper, loving it all. Again, the intention to love. My emotions were not at love, but the intention every day I practiced was to love. And I learned a lot there. And when I had learned all that there was to learn from love in being there, I was released lovingly and supported in that release. It took me a full 5 years. And a lot was elsewhere was happening. I became a minister here, so I was a minister here while I was still there. And, a whole lot of other things were changing. But for me to finish the lesson of learning to love everything that was possible, present in that job, in that business world, it took me 5 years to love it all. And I practiced it every day. But having done it, I am changed. And there's no hate, there's no regret, there's no resentment, there's no issues. So, the true purpose of money is love, and it leads us forward from good to greater good. And one of those 3 laws of money that I referred to, there's always enough money to do good. This is a world of money. Get over it. And number 3 is money has its own rules. And so we use the operation of money in our lives to come into a greater awareness of the nature of these universal laws. Money is viewed, or it can be viewed, as a teaching tool that reveals the inner workings of our own divine nature. So the question of the topic is, did God make money? And the answer is yes. Yes, for our good. And there is a heaven load worth of good to learn about it. And so I guess I won't be retiring to a tropical island that is never touched by humans or hurricanes or various infestations for a while yet, because I have a feeling I still have a lot to learn about love right where I am, right? All right, so having done all that, having said all that, we've got a lot to think about. And so let's take this musical interlude to think about, where have I yet to love? And when I come back, I'll do an affirmative prayer to set us free there. So let's do that practice now. was enough time. All you have to do is ask divine love, where have I yet to love it? And it's right there. And so go into your heart and realize you don't have to feel any love to set an intention to love. And just bring in that place, that spot, that person where you have yet to learn to love, and let yourself just be willing to learn. And so this word is being spoken for each one. Divine love is omnipresent, and divine love wants to set each one free. And right there in that place where each one may not be enjoying that free flow of love circulating in their heart, in their world, and their relationships, that presence of love is there and is now bringing to each one the key, the answer, the guidance, the excuse, the reason, the motivation, the something, the truth, the grace, whatever is required to set each one free, so that that pure circulation of love is now present within them, making all things new and whole and perfect and harmonious and operating in perfect right order and divine right action again. I am grateful that this is the truth. I am grateful that love is the answer and the law makes it possible. And so I let it go to that loving law, knowing it's done, and so it is. And that's the way it is. So have a good rest of the week.